Hello, welcome all to LwpLabs once again. Let's start the class now. Hello, you can take over.
Good evening and thank you everybody for joining. This is Kalol, your trainer. So we will continue with what we had started yesterday. The topic that I was discussing was the overall the course overview that we are going to do. So before we jump into practicals, we will do theory, but then before theory, there should be a glide path. There should be an understanding like what is it that we are supposed to do. So this is where I had left it yesterday. So let me complete this part. So till yesterday, I had discussed like Git, GitHub, Jenkins, and deployment on of containers on a container where we were going to use Docker with Maven. Okay. So now continuing this, now I'm going to in the next part, once we are dealt with Docker, like we have understood Docker, we will be using Ansible also. Okay, this diagram we will, let me first write down. Moving on to the next phase, what we will be doing is, so again, we will be deploying artifacts. Again, it will be on a container, but this time using, but this time the CICD part will be with GitHub, Jenkins, and this time there will be something called Ansible also. And of course, Docker, because without Docker, there is no container. Okay, so this is the major, this is the one-liner statement. But here, what we will have to do internally is these things. We will have to obviously set up a Ansible server first. I'm not expecting you to understand all these things which I'm writing here. Don't take it as if we are going to you're going to understand it in the first class also. There is no understanding here. This is, as you can see, the name of this file is course overview. You will, as we keep proceeding through the course, we will be comparing our notes here as per the notes what we are doing. Okay. So these things are defined in the course syllabus also, but here a little bit more detail is there along with the diagram and the kind of tools and technologies that we are going to use. Okay, that is why I'm making it now. We are the 10,000 foot view of the image. Now we are coming a little bit closer. So this file you will have to visit, as you'll keep visiting this page again and again as we proceed through the course. So that is why I'm simply noting down the things here that we are supposed to cover. So we will set up Ansible server. We will also integrate something called a Docker host. This integration will be with Ansible. Then we will write something called a Ansible playbook. This we will do to create our custom images. Those images will be used. So the same Ansible playbook. So here we will be introduced to something called YAML. Okay, this is a kind of this is the coding language that is used to write Ansible playbooks. So Ansible playbook, it's another fancy word for writing code in Ansible. Okay. It is pretty easy to write and pretty easy to understand. It is very heavily documented. It is not, don't think of it like learning Java or something. No, compared to that, it is like very, very easy. So we will write another playbook to, earlier we created images. Now we will create containers. Containers, to create containers. Okay, and then obviously we will need to integrate Ansible with Jenkins. And once all of this is done, the next task will be to do a CICD. Always we will come back to this CICD. This is the main task and activity of a DevOps engineer. So we will create a CICD job to admin team. Can you kindly switch off the camera stuff? We don't need that. It is distracting my screen here. CICD job to build code. We will be using, we'll doing a CICD job to build code on, again, this will going to be Ansible. And using Ansible, we will be deploying it on a Docker container. So even if you do not understand what I'm writing here now immediately, you will, if you read it step by step, you will understand like how things are evolving. From Docker, you are getting Docker file, from Docker file, then Docker host. Gradually, if you see how the thing is evolving, you will get, so take it as a sort of an exercise where you are getting accustomed to the new terms, new names, new terminology. And gradually, as I start digging into the course, one by one, all of them will be ticked and you will implement it. Okay, so you need to fall back to a certain referral point. So this is that reference point that I'm actually creating. Okay, so now all of this stuff which I've written, I think I will need to, let me check the previous diagram.
You are on mute, Kalul.
Yeah, sorry about that. I muted myself by mistake. I was actually trying to mute someone else. Okay, anyways, what I was actually saying when I was speaking on mute, this was the diagram here, which was in reference to the previous steps. Okay, so now let me just quickly check which part is the same. So commit code, pull code, Jenkins, Maven, build code. Okay. Yeah, so we don't have Ansible here. So basically, I can select these ones. This similar diagram, but what you'll see what the difference is going to be now. This is the difference that I've written in black here. Okay, this black part in diagram, it will be something like this. Let me actually edit this and so we have got, okay, Jenkins did not get copied. It's nothing is happening. Okay, so we have got Git. From Git, there will code gets committed to GitHub. From there, Jenkins pulls the code and Maven builds the code. So this is the Apache war file. Now, yeah, so there is going to be one change here now. So here we are not going to do deploy code anymore like this. Let's get rid of this, and Docker right now it will not be here. So what will be here instead is something called Ansible. So here we are going to put Ansible. And what Ansible is basically doing here, no, let me complete this first. Give me a second. Okay, so now we will need, after this, we will need Docker. And here, Docker will come after this. And obviously, there will be an arrow here. This is the new part now, advancement that we are going to do. So from Ansible there, it will go to Docker, and also we need Docker Hub. Yes, Docker Hub here. And let us connect Ansible to Docker Hub, and from Docker Hub to Docker. And now let us give the Jenkins part is done. This is build code part, right? Yeah, okay. And here now let me maximize this a little bit. Here we are going to copy the artifacts. Jenkins is going to copy the artifacts into the Ansible server, and Ansible is going to, here this arrow will be push image. And this will be moving on to, actually, how can I move to the right here? So Ansible will be pushing the image to something called Docker Hub. And from Docker Hub, Docker will be pulling the image. And here we are going to do deploy container. Correct. Let me correct that. Okay, so these are overall, this is actually the diagram that you can refer to, like whatever steps, whatever I have written in black, this is the very high level, not at all in detail, at a very high level, 10,000 foot view. All these written statements have been converted into an image. Okay, now every time as I'm proceeding, as you can see, the images are changing here. What it started with, and gradually you will see the images will become more and more complex. You will need some time to go through this. Okay, you will need some time to understand this. But you should be clear in the course what we are going to do. Okay, all of these details, I will start from the very beginning. That is Git. And gradually, but then I have not completed this. Let me continue with this. Finally, we will also be using something called Kubernetes. That is a very important part. So let me actually quickly mention that now. So this one is in black. So let me go for blue now. Draw, shape, line. Now, so again, the topic will not, the major task here will still be same, but gradually now we are automating our CI/CD pipeline. So now we are going to deploy again artifacts, but this time it will be on Kubernetes. Okay, when I say Kubernetes, I'm actually referring to something called this. This is Kubernetes. This image, get used to this. This is what we are going to use. So here, the basic steps of obviously the first thing will be setting up. So Kubernetes is also called K8S. Okay, why so? Because if you see here, it's a funny thing actually. I expand this image, yeah. So why it is called Kubernetes is like this is the first. This is the first character K, and this is the last one. So in between them, like starting from U to E, in between K and S, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that this K is K, and then in between there is 8, and then there is S. So that is why in short it is called K8S. But when I'm writing K8S, I am actually referring to this word Kubernetes. Okay, so we will set up Kubernetes. So whenever get used to this, K8S means Kubernetes. We'll set up Kubernetes using something called EKS service. Somebody was asking like which service we are going to use in Amazon. So we are going to use EKS service. This is the Kubernetes service that AWS provides. And then we are going to create. We're going to create something called pod. We'll come across pod service. We will also do something called a deployment. Deploy something called manifest files. This part in Kubernetes, this is a bit complicated. So first we will go through the definition part, but then this is the task that Kubernetes, using Kubernetes, what we will do. Then again I'll show the diagram. I'll create the diagram. Just give me some time. So, and then obviously we will have to now integrate Kubernetes with Ansible now. So once we have done the integration, what else? Let me think. Yes, Ansible, Docker Hub. Kubernetes will come here. Okay, yeah. So obviously you will need, if you are integrating Ansible, then you will need the Ansible code files, which are called nothing but playbooks. You'll need the Ansible playbooks to create the deployment and the service. And of course, the last step will always be regarding so we are going to build code on Ansible. The code will be written in Ansible playbooks. We will and then we will implement a Kubernetes deployment. And why are we doing all of this? For the CICD job. Okay, it is for this thing. Now, whatever I've written here, if we have to convert it into picture, the diagram will be, okay, I think I can again copy paste some part of the thing here. So there will be Git, GitHub, this part, see, all this is remaining same, but now we are making it more and more automated. So copy artifacts, build code, Apache Maven will be there. Obviously, that is our build thing. Ansible will be there. Docker Hub. Yeah. So basically, it will be the same image. The only difference will be, let me copy this first. This same diagram we are going to implement, but with one major difference, and that difference itself will greatly change the way. So let me just check Docker Hub, push image, full image. Yeah. The only difference will be now that we are going to here. So if you compare this earlier, we were using Docker, but now we are going to use, for the deployment thing, we are going to use Kubernetes. This is one major change. Okay, and this major change itself is a very big change. This will make our process, our task of automation and sharing code, sharing like container orchestration, all of that will become a lot easier. And if you are using this kind of stuff, then you will become independent of your cloud service platform also. Which basically means that you will be free to choose your cloud service provider. You can move from AWS to Azure, from Azure to Google Cloud Platform, IBM, DigitalOcean, anyone you want. Okay. So this is going to, all this lengthy thing we are going to complete over the next period of a month or so. And all these things we will learn gradually. Okay. Now, one important thing that you have to understand, like, let me quickly create a page here. So what does a DevOps engineer actually do? Like, what is actually how a team interacts? What are the things, like what are the various job profiles and who does what? Okay, you should know this because you are going to be introduced into an environment where there will be people from different roles, different job roles. Okay, so but then who is doing what, and why do we need to bother so much about? Okay, sorry, I think mistakenly I stopped sharing my screen. Sorry about that, my bad. Yeah, so here let us, so this is a new page. So let me discuss DevOps overview and concepts. This is important because otherwise you will not know like what is DevOps if you don't know that, and what does a DevOps engineer actually do. Okay, so let's quickly discuss that. So everything revolves around something called SDLC. What is SDLC? Software Development Life Cycle. Okay, so it has got various phases. So let me quickly grab a diagram. So if we think about SDLC, this is your this we can say is software development life cycle. Okay, now in it has got its, actually this diagram is not that clear, but I think this will do. It has got its own it is cyclic, it goes on and on. There is design, implementation, testing, deployment, maintenance, analysis. Actually starts with analysis, sorry. After analysis you design it, and then this goes on and on. This circle is never ending. Okay, and it is also meant to be like that. This diagram is not that good. Give me a second. So the ultimate thing here, think of it like what can I say? Think of it like this. If we have to put it in image. So if you look at something called factory production, so here, yeah, as you can see, some water bottles are being manufactured here. Okay, in this diagram. So in a factory there is production. Okay. Similarly, in SDLC, you can think of it like this, that you are producing software. Okay, as part of SDLC, you are producing software. Okay, try to visualize it like this for people who are absolutely new to SDLC. So in a if you look at a factory, where did it go? Sorry. If you look at a factory floor, then in a factory floor, there will be various different workers will be doing different tasks, right? But overall, let's say this is like here, as you can see, this is a car production unit. So cars are being produced. So some workers might be involved in shipping. Like if you just see this, wait a second. Yeah, this is a typical factory floor where production is being done, and you can just try and visualize it like this. So in that entire floor, so here think of this as an entire production team, a software development software team. Okay. In a factory floor, when a product is being produced, different workers in different sections are doing different tasks. Overall, when everything gets combined, you have the final product. So here also, you are producing software, and when you are going to produce software, there will be various roles, and there will be various kinds of people who will be interacting at different stages. Okay. So those will be like the different kinds of workers who are contributing some part in the development process for producing the software. Now, here, let me actually proceed with this. Somewhere down the line here, you will also have a role and responsibilities as a DevOps engineer. Okay, so the various teams that are involved here. So when we are saying we are producing software, so the major thing here is actually software. It is everything's regarding software. So I'll just write development. Okay, so there will be a development team where you will have developers. These are the people who write code. Okay, they write code. When they are writing code, they are building some application. Like you have got WhatsApp. Okay, so if you want to see, like if we do a Google search, sample WhatsApp code. Okay, so if I go to images, so see, for example, you must have seen this. Like like this is a functionality. If you want to log into WhatsApp, you can just scan this QR code. Okay, so somewhere down the line, where is it? Actually, something in GitHub. So for each and every functionality, so all this code has been written. Okay. Now this may not be exactly for, this is an example for WhatsApp API, but then all this code has been written. These are all code files. For example, like if I just get into the JSON script here, so the handler.js, so there is code written here, as you can see. So all these multiple files, okay, multiple people are writing this code. These multiple files are interacting, and finally, what it does is it builds the product. In this, like here, I was giving the example of WhatsApp, but it can be, it is for every software. Okay, so the development team or the developers, they write code. They can write code in various languages. Okay, maybe they are writing in Java, maybe they are writing in Python, or maybe they are writing JavaScript. That is another language. Okay, they can be working on various features. So one feature of WhatsApp is to send, allow the user to make calls. Another feature is to be able to send attachments like images or video clips. Okay. Another feature of WhatsApp is to write text. Different development teams will be responsible for those different responsibilities. But at the end of the day, any developer, whenever they write code, so I'm just writing dev, whenever dev writes code, there can be only two reasons why they are writing code. Either they are writing code so that there can be new functionality. Okay, so if you remember, like in the last 5-6 months ago in WhatsApp, there was no functionality of a new functionality was introduced wherein you can transfer each other money using WhatsApp. This functionality was not present 6-7 months ago. And gradually down the line, we will see month upon month, year upon year, softwares keep evolving. People, if you who are using WhatsApp, if you originally remember, when we downloaded and started using WhatsApp, it was basically only a chat tool using which you could do video chat and audio chat. But gradually it evolved. It became more functional. So whenever developers, so for that developers are writing code. Okay, so whenever developers are writing code, they write code either to introduce new functionality, or else they would be writing code to fix bugs. Okay, what are bugs? like maybe developer has written some functionality. Like if you click on the attach button, then you should be able to choose a file and send it to the user. But when you are clicking on the attach button, it is not picking up any file, or it is not sending it. So that is an error in code. So for you will have to, that is called fixing bugs, when developers will write additional code to repair whatever is not working. That is called bug fixing. So whenever developers are writing code, they are changing the code base. Okay. So whenever that code base will look something like this. Okay. So I can edit this file and I can then make the changes. I will see, okay, here maybe this serverless, I should have done a post HTTP call. That is not your headache. Okay. Maybe I should have used the require method here. Okay, multiple times, but I've not used that. So maybe I'm that is how I'm fixing the bug. But moment so this is in GitHub. This is one real-time sample that you are seeing in GitHub. So this is where like developers will make the changes and they will fix. So they will always keep changing code. Remember this. Whatever developers are doing, whenever either they are writing new functionality or they are fixing bugs, in both the scenarios, developers are changing the code. And so how this will, how we will correlate to this, we will see. Now, just like the developers, there is also another team. Okay, they are responsible for if the software is being built, there is also, that software also need to be tested. Okay, this part is software testing. There is another team for that. They are called the quality assurance team, or they are responsible for checking, like if the bug has been fixed, if the software is working as expected or not. Now the testing can be done either manually or it can be automated. And obviously we are moving into the age of automation now. Automated. Okay, so that is why learning DevOps is critical, not only for developers, but anyone who is working in the software industry. Because gradually, with the improvement of tools and with the improvement of technology, with the changes in the methodology, how SDLC is implemented, any place where tasks are being done manually and they are repetitive, that means you have to keep doing that task over and over again. Not like if it is a one-time thing, but like over and over again. For example, suppose like let's say you have to install Red Hat. Okay, so for example, you have to install Red Hat operating system. Okay, this is a Linux operating system, and you have to do it on a server. Okay, on some server, for some reason you have some task and you are going to have to install this on a server. Now, so for one server, it is not that much of a big deal. You choose the server, you install Red Hat. As simple as that. Okay, you will have some image file, and using that image file, you will simply install. But what if you have to do this not on one server, but you have to do this now on 500 servers? Okay, so one installation will typically last around, let's say, for sake of argument, 30 minutes. So now if it is 500 servers, so that will mean simply 30 multiplied by 500. If you are if you are trying to do it individually. But instead of that, wherever there is automation, you can automate this using scripts. Okay, that is what all these tools are for. Ansible, Kubernetes, Docker, and rest of the stuff. So for 500 servers, you can actually, let's say you take 1 hour to write the script, okay, maximum. And then with like when you deploy this, you like within 2 hours, you will be installing Red Hat on 500 servers. Just imagine that 500 servers can also, maybe it is 5,000 servers. That is possible. That happens. Okay. The point I'm trying to make here is wherever there is manual repetitive task in IT industry, whoever is working, if they are doing things manually and they are doing this repeatedly, the same thing they are doing, that is the place where that job will vanish. So be it software testing, be it development, be it any part, wherever there is manual task and it is repetitive, with the usage of AI, machine learning, all these tools, you are actually going, and the tools that are being built in the backend, all these tools are going to make our life more and more automated. So that is why you need to learn these technologies. And DevOps is the overall culture wherein you can integrate all of these tools together. How you are working, the methodology, it is a culture. Okay. DevOps is not one single tool, or it is, you can't say that DevOps is a collection of tools. It is a culture, how different groups of people from different parts, how they interact with each other, how they collaborate with each other, how they work together, so that your SDLC process is absolutely smooth and customer is always happy. There is no downtime. Yeah. So let me actually complete this part here. So now we are into the software testing. So this is another profile. One profile we saw, one team we saw, which is in the blue. They are the development team. So now there is the testing team. They are the people who will actually test the code. Okay. Now overall, like in terms of DevOps, when you take the development team and the testing team together they are called. So basically, if you see, look at the word DevOps. So it has got two parts actually. So this dev is referring to development team, and ops is operations. Okay. Now development, earlier I told you, like development team, usually they will be writing code. But here, actually, when we are writing development, so the dev, this one includes the developers and the testers. Testers are the people who are testing the code. They can write scripts, they can check it manually, however they are doing it, but they are checking if developers are writing the correct thing or not. And whenever the developers do coding, somewhere or other, there will be some mistake. And then that is called a bug. And testers will raise a bug, and then developers will repair it, and then they will again test it. And when everything is okay, now once the code is now ready, once the development team, like the developers and testers, they have checked it. Okay. So whenever that code is ready, that time we say that it is called a software release. Unfortunately, there is no diagram actually for. So what you're going to get here is the output will be a software release. Okay, I should not have chosen this. Software release. So that is nothing but a package which is ready to be deployed once the developers and testers have done their task. Now, this software release has to be done by another team. They are your operations team. This is the team which is responsible for deploying the release. That is why it is called operations, development team, and what was that? Development and operations. Now, see, gradually I'm trying to clear the picture here. Different job roles you are seeing. We talked. There is the developers team who will write using different languages. They will write code to build the software where new functionality will be introduced. They will do the bug fixing. The bugs are identified by the testing team. So there is the software testing team. They can do the testing manually or they can do automated. So wherever there is automated, there will be various tools like the tools that we are discussing, Jenkins, Maven, and all that stuff. Okay. So it is not that the testing team does not write code. So here I'm explaining all of this so that you can get a picture. Usually people think that only developers write code. No. Developers can also write code. Testers also write code. They whatever their steps they are using to test the software manually, they can write scripts to automate it. And then those scripts have to be deployed. So once again, that is where software testers also need to know DevOps. Okay. So software testers will write code for related to testing. Similarly, operations team, these are the guys who are responsible for deploying the software release into the proper servers. All the code for WhatsApp after the development team had written and the testing team had tested, there was another team which actually deployed the code of WhatsApp into server. Or rather, I should say multiple servers, because WhatsApp is used by millions and millions of people every day, every second. Anybody from the world, anywhere, apart from few countries where it is not allowed, anybody from anywhere in the world can send a message or some file to another person across the world through the internet. So those servers have to be up and running. They have to be properly maintained. They have to be, and whenever new functionality is coming up, I frankly do not ever remember even one instance where the WhatsApp software actually did not work for me. I just do not remember any time. Maybe you guys experienced it, but I just don't remember. That means what? That means that software has been built so robustly, the deployment process of it. Don't you think WhatsApp is continuously undergoing changes, continuously undergoing improvements, continuously being maintained? All the database cleanup is being done. Okay. Every day this thing is happening, but the users are not able to feel it at all. We are 24/7 on our cell phones, on our desktops. WhatsApp is continuously running on our devices as a software. And all that code in the background that has been written, all that is working seamlessly without any issues. Code like this. Okay. And this is just one API like this. This is just one example of one API of WhatsApp. There will be like millions of lines of coding for WhatsApp. People from development background will understand. Like there would be hundreds and hundreds of people who are writing code. So now we have another team called operations. They are the people who are responsible for releasing the software. Whenever new software comes into the market, that has to be released. Okay. So this process of software release, it has got certain parts. You have to build the application. Then you have to run it on server. And this is what the operations team will do. And you also may need to, before running the application, you may need to upgrade your software, the existing software. Okay. Whenever the release team, the operations team has to do these tasks, then during that time, they have to issue something called a downtime. Do you guys actually, admin team, let the team interact now? I have not been looking at chat because I was explaining things on my screen here. Please allow them to unmute so that they can check. Sorry, they can ask questions.
Yeah, they can ask questions.
Yeah, go ahead, guys. If you have any questions regarding whatever I have explained till this time, this is the time to ask your questions now. Okay, so when I say downtime, you will come across. So yeah, for doing these tasks, these three which I've mentioned here, the operations team has to give some downtime. This is pre-planned, okay? And whenever you give a downtime, basically what is happening is there will be a system outage. During this downtime, when the application is being built, run on servers, upgrade is happening, during this time, your software will not work. Okay, for example, like quite frequently, I keep getting messages like banking software downtime, something like this. Let me fetch the message. In your mobile phone, you would have seen, like you keep getting I don't know, I'm not able to fetch anything on internet right now. Like, yeah, for example, your bank softwares, they usually have this because they have got like millions and millions of transactions. So during that time, like maybe like very commonly, which the messages that I get are like from 2 a.m. in the morning up to 5 a.m. on a Saturday night, my banking app will not work. Okay, so I will not be able to do any transaction. They will give a heads up that there is a downtime coming. So whenever you have you guys experienced this? I'll actually stop here. Yeah, so that is when the downtime is happening. Usually, this operations team, they are building the application and they are doing majorly these changes, because by that time the development team has already built the software and they are ready. Like now they are asking the operations team. So tomorrow I will be discussing further, like what goes on here and where the DevOps engineer comes into picture. Now, this has been the traditional method. Okay, we will see what is the problem here. What happens? What is the problem when you are working? So this is not yet DevOps here. This I was just trying to explain. And tomorrow I will add these two words together and then we will discuss like what is the role of a DevOps engineer in this SDLC? Because everybody keeps saying DevOps, DevOps. Then what is DevOps? What what is happening in the background there? You will see, like I will explain it as simply as possible. Okay. This today we have run out of time. So let me quickly open up the forum now. Guys, whatever questions you have, please do ask now. And meanwhile, I will have a quick glance at the chat. Okay. IAM for non-IT background, can you explain, please? This is somebody called Sandesh. IAM, can you kindly speak up, please, Sandesh? When you are referring to IAM, are you referring to AWS Identity and Access Management?
Actually, I had a doubt, like you are using like words like artifact and images, right? We coming from non-IT background, we just needed some clarification regarding that.
Because it will come. It will come, Sandesh. It will come. I will. But overall, if I have to explain a diagram, I have to use these words. I will be teaching things from scratch. I am not expecting you to understand these things. Artifact, deploy, push, all this. I have actually already started now because I'm giving you the SDLC overview here, like in detail. Here, tell me from this diagram. Forget the other diagrams. From here, what I've been I've been using like words which are relevant to the industry. These words you should know. Now, here you tell me which part you did not understand.
No, like in this part, like I can understand. I just had a doubt regarding those words because images for us is completely different words, like what you are referring to. So I just had that.
I understand. So now what is happening is now think of it like this. Now I'm coming closer to the first I have to give you a 10,000 foot view. Okay. So this is the overall view. No, this one was like AWS account. This is separate. Now, so this thing I'm pretty sure 99% of the people have not understood. Okay. So these words I have used here, deployment, artifact, deploy, build code. they will all be explained later on. I have to explain this, otherwise you will not understand the tools. But this is like a glide path. This is not one-time note that I've made here. This note, you will have to keep referring to this image, keep referring to the statements which I have made, because I also need to refer it to it. Otherwise, how will I know where I am? How am I proceeding? Okay. So you will have to come back to this, and gradually I will be explaining things in a much more using much more simpler words. Like I have already started that process where I have started giving you the DevOps overview. Okay. So gradually, like what is a build, what is a release. So now I was explaining what a software release is. Okay. I hope you are getting the meaning of this now. Artifact and all that, you wait. Later on, I will explain.
Yeah, that's understood. No issues with regarding whatever rest of the things you thought.
It will come up. Don't worry.
Yeah,
In
sure.
due time, it will come up. Okay. So rest of the question, Kubernetes is part of it. Okay. Yes, guys, I'll have to wrap up the session. So Nilesh is asking about Kubernetes and manifest. You will have to wait for that, Nilesh, because this is a little bit more detail. As we proceed through the course, I will have to, what is Kubernetes? First of all, we will have to understand that. Okay. So gradually we will come to that part. In the projects we are going through, Sumer is asking new environments. So again and again, I'm getting a vibe here. So don't worry, guys. These are new words: Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, build, and whatever new words you are not able to understand. Flow with my flow with me now.
Tomorrow what are we going to cover? Can you please tell, like, so that people
Tomorrow,
will be
will
be like prepared, and they know that okay, this is what we are going to cover tomorrow. And I know that tomorrow we are going to cover start one like sample project like explanation, and
I will actually end
very
this
important part.
DevOps thing. DevOps thing I will end, like what are DevOps. This this is half done, but now today I've run out of time. So
no problem.
This one I will complete, like whatever I was discussing, like what is the role of DevOps engineer here, what they do. Because if they don't know what they are supposed to do, then what is the point of using those tools? Okay, so I will complete that, and then I will jump into a project. Like if they have to refer to the project, so there will be, so again and again, I will be coming back to this page, course overview. Okay, so we will do something with this diagram here.
So guys, you all will be shared with this document, this particular draft, which he is actually referring to. This will be your draft. You don't have to because we have very less time. You don't have to write things. You just focus on the class. And anyway, he's writing the things, he's creating the notes, so you can use the same notes, whatever faculty is actually trying to do. Okay. So there is no language required, Vivek. Okay. Whatever you will be doing the project, just do that and post, create your CV and start applying for a job. So I think let's make it simple tomorrow. Where it's I think